of you for coming here on the channel once again. Remember, guys, to subscribe to my room here on Playback, to download the app. Everything is for free, so you have the possibility to send in your questions. And as you can see, we are here on really regular basis to update you on all the latest. Let me tell you that tonight we have something to tell you. I have a nice news. I can tell you. I will share that at the end of the stream, but it's about an important player, and a nice news. It's not about a super top club, but an interesting news about an important player who won many important titles and is about to move to another club, or has this possibility. So also Matteo Moretto will join us speaking in Spanish, and I will translate for you for all the latest. We have some updates to share also with him tonight during the live. It's going to be a long stream, so gonna update you on all the latest. And I will start taking a question, guys, with Andoma asking Fab about Todibo legal case. This is an important question because today, guys, I received many questions from Manchester United fans about the possibility to open again the case of Jean-Claire Todibo. It was an exclusive story I shared with you last week about Manchester United in very advanced talks to sign Todibo. Meanwhile, I see RJ Bot asking here in the chat about Kimmich and Arsenal, and I take this opportunity to tell you that Playback has now a new feature. It's called Power Chats, as you can see already here in the chat. With Power Chat, basically, by paying, you can have your message in light here in the chat, and I will obviously answer that question. So thank you for asking about Kimmich and Arsenal. I will reply in a second. But about Todibo, last week, I told you that Jean-Claire Todibo was a top target for Manchester United, and I can tell you here now, today, that Man United were in very advanced talks to sign him, but very advanced talks. So Man United had the green light from the player. The negotiation was super advanced, and then everything collapsed because Man United and Nice, sharing the same ownership and playing in the same competition, Europa League, they are not allowed to proceed with the deal by UEFA rules. Today we had reports about Man United reactivating the case for Jean-Claire Todibo. What they can guarantee is that as of today, Manchester United didn't receive any light on that point. So I'm not aware of Manchester United informing the player or those close to the player about their intention to reopen the case. They know it's a complicated story. So at the moment, everything is off between Manchester United and Todibo, and other clubs are working on the Todibo deal. So that's the situation at the moment. Girassi asking, Girassi done deal 100%. I said, here we go, my friend. So that's what I know. Then, thanks, Fab. Thank you, Ari. To answer my friend about Kimmich and Arsenal, my friend, at the moment is not something concrete. So Arsenal have not started a concrete negotiation for Joshua Kimmich. But in general, Kimmich could be one to watch in July and in August after the Euros, because he's not extending his contract at Bayern. At the moment, there is no agreement, but not even negotiation advanced between Kimmich and Bayern. And so, or he leaves as free agent in 2025, or he has the possibility to leave this summer for a good proposal. So Kimmich could be one to watch. Then, any Everton news, any Minte updates? Asking the Toffee Talk. My friend, Everton news. Today, Iliman Diaye completed the medical. So this is guaranteed. The here we go is confirmed. Then Minte is still giving priority to Everton. So Minte wants to go to Everton, but at the moment, there is still no deal between Everton and Newcastle. So let's see if they can find an agreement. I can guarantee that Olympique Lyon are still pushing, but the player is still waiting for Premier League, and in this case for Everton. So let's see what's going to happen on that story. How likely is Green Gonga asking, is Frimpong to Barca? My friend, at the moment there is nothing concrete. There is the appreciation of Hansi Flick. This, yes, for sure. Hansi Flick appreciates Jeremy Frimpong, but at the moment I'm not aware of Barcelona starting a concrete negotiation with Bayer Leverkusen. No, not even with the agents of the player. Barca are still working on Joao Cancelo. Frimpong is super appreciated by Hansi Flick, but is also expensive. So let's see what happens there. I see a question about Murillo, the centre-back of Nottingham Forest, very good player. Today we had rumors from Brazil about Chelsea. What I can say is that Chelsea asked for information on Murillo, just asking how was the situation of the player in terms of potential negotiation conditions, so the asking price and all this stuff. But at the moment, Chelsea have not presented any bid, have not started any concrete negotiation. So just asking about the situation of Murillo, because there is a possibility for Chelsea to add one more centre-back after Tosin Adarabioyo. But at the moment, is not something advanced. Well, for Chelsea, I wanted to touch on on the situation of Alexander Isak, because the striker of Newcastle today was among many rumors for his future. We had many rumors on his future, and one of the stories we heard is that Chelsea started negotiations for him, for Alexander Isak. What I'm hearing, guys, is that at the moment, this is my information, Chelsea are not in negotiations for Alexander Isak. He's an important player for Newcastle. Newcastle are very happy with him. Eddie Howe is also happy at Newcastle. So the situation is completely quiet there. Chelsea know that Alexander Isak would be a fantastic striker for them, but they also know that this is too expensive in terms of transfer fees, same for the salary. So Olise, Nico Williams, all these players are appreciated by Chelsea, but Chelsea are not advancing on that deal for a clear reason. It's too expensive. So that's it. Nothing is happening for that story at the moment. What I can guarantee is that Chelsea are not going for Alexander Isak because he's too expensive. Is Edson Alvarez still an option for United? Even with his injury, Arturo is asking. My friend, at the moment, I can tell you that Man United have just discussed Edson Alvarez internally. They never made an approach to West Ham or made a bid. So it was an internal conversation, but at the moment, still nothing concrete. So let's see how serious is the injury. But at the moment, I can guarantee to you that nothing is really imminent. The medical for Olise is going to be in the next days at Bayern. The deal is done. Don't worry. Bayern already sent some documents to Crystal Palace to guarantee that they will pay the clause. So the formal process has started. And Olise will be Bayern player. I see a question about Eze, Eberechi Eze to Spurs. At the moment, no club presented any proposal to Crystal Palace for the release clause. There is also a release clause in the contract of Eze, similar to Olise. The clause has to be paid, the main part of the clause, up front. So it's a very expensive deal, a very complicated deal. Interest is there from Tottenham. Tottenham appreciate the player, and not only Tottenham, but at the moment, the problem is the clause, how the clause works. So at the moment, appreciation, yes, but still nothing advanced or concrete. Then. News on Philogen, I will give you in the next days, don't worry. On Isak, we say that Chelsea at the moment are not advancing on this deal. But Chelsea are prepared to close the deal for Marc Guiu from Barcelona, because what I heard in the recent days, I told you last week, and then yesterday was, here we go, is that Marc Guiu will be a new Chelsea player. Let me explain this deal. Chelsea believe that Marc Guiu is a big talent with a lot of potential. Someone believing that he can become a really important player in the near future. So Chelsea are signing Marc Guiu because it's a big opportunity. 6 million euros release clause is a bargain. Let's be clear about that. But at the same time, they also believe that the potential is this boy is something special. So I see the question of captain, leader, legend, 26, Guiu staying or going on loan. At the moment, when they presented the project to Marc Guiu, is to stay at Chelsea, is to work under Enzo Maresca, then decide, but they are not presenting the project for Strasbourg. This is a signing for Chelsea. This is a plan for Chelsea. So the idea is very clear, is to have Marc Guiu in pre-season, to trust Marc Guiu for present and future, and that's it. Bennett asking about Xavi Simons, Bill saying that Leipzig is closer than Bayern. I can guarantee that at the moment Xavi Simons has not decided anything, guys. So any report you see is closer to Bayern than Leipzig or closer to Leipzig than Bayern. From what I heard, then I respect all the journalists, but from what I heard, is not the reality at the moment. My information is very clear, is that the player will decide after the Euros. The player, as I told you with an exclusive update last week, informed the Paris Saint-Germain of his desire to leave on loan, but then the player didn't proceed with any decision. He has Bayern, he has Red Bull Leipzig, the race is still open. These two clubs are really pushing with different projects, with different ideas, but absolutely everything clear after the Euros, not now. Xavi Simons will not decide now. Something I wanted to say, and I saw some questions about that, while I really like the question from Adi, asking about Mamardashvili. My friend, what a performance by Mamardashvili. Congratulations to Georgia, to Turkey, doing something fantastic at the Euros, really special. Mamardashvili is available on the market. Keep an eye on Mamardashvili, because he's been fantastic at the Euros. He's been fantastic for Valencia for months and seasons, let me say. Fantastic player. But Mamardashvili is available. because Valencia already signed Dimitrievski as new goalkeeper. They know they could lose Mamardashvili, and the price for Mamardashvili is around 35-40 million euros. So big opportunity on the market, Giorgi Mamardashvili. Man City fan, really quiet for Man City this transfer window. Do you have any updates? Thank you, my friend, first of all, for the question. At the moment, it's nothing imminent or concrete. Today, we had rumors about Dani Olmo joining Manchester City or close to joining Manchester City. I'm told no, Man City are not in advanced talks for Dani Olmo. It's not something concrete. Dani Olmo could be an option for Bayern if the deal for Xavi Simons collapses. He's one of the names they have in the list if Xavi Simons is not joining the club. But the priority is Xavi Simons. Olmo is still there. The release clause for Dani Olmo, 60 million euros, is valid until July 15. These are the conditions of the clause from what I heard. Then, let me see here. I see still some questions about Todibo, but my friend, as I said at the beginning of the stream, while here on Playback, you will have the possibility to have all the live streams available even after the live, so you can check it again. But what I heard on Jean-Claire Todibo is quite clear that Manchester United at the moment consider the deal off, and from UEFA there is absolutely nothing in terms of reopening the negotiation. So at the moment is all quiet for Todibo, and there are other clubs. So I still expect Todibo to leave, to be honest, this summer, but with other clubs interested. I see questions on Florian Wirtz. Wirtz for this summer is absolutely not available. Let me answer the question on Jacob Ramsey to Spurs from our friend Omar Gotayat. My friend, I saw this news tonight from the Express. What I can tell you is that this story of Tottenham making a bid to Aston Villa for Ramsey, including a player, Joe Lo Celso, and money, is a bid they made, yes, but it was weeks ago, not this week and not even last week. It was weeks ago, and Aston Villa immediately said no. Joe Lo Celso has very good chances to leave Tottenham in the summer transfer window. I think Joe Lo Celso will leave Tottenham. This is my feeling, still exploring options. Betis are there. Unai Emery knows him well. There are several opportunities, but he will leave the club. While Matteo Moretto is ready, we will talk a bit in English, a bit in Spanish, so we will be together in the next minutes to touch on many things, to answer many of your questions. And we can bring in Matteo as we have many things to discuss. So we said about Ramsey, we said about Todibo, and I also wanted to touch on Victor Osimhen in a moment, because it's really important. While on Alexander Isaac, I still see your questions, guys, but not a topic for Chelsea in this moment. Talk about Liverpool. My friend, I will talk about Liverpool as soon as I will have something. Meanwhile, Matteo is here with us, live from Milano. Ciao, Matteo, ¿cómo estás?
Ciao, Fabri, ¿qué tal? Buenas noches a todos.
Todo bien. Guys, we're going to speak some Spanish. I will translate everything also in English for you, so we will talk multiple languages. Send in your questions. We start with a question from Sam, who says, Fabrizio, Matteo, now that we are done with the group stages, what do you think he's going to win the Euros? So, ¿quién va a ganar la Euro, Matteo? I think telling Sam, I keep saying, I know they will call me crazy, but I keep saying England.
Ojalá sea Italia. Y si quieres podemos hablar de un futbolista italiano que gusta mucho a varios equipos.
Sí, let's talk about him. Let's talk about, I guess it's Riccardo Calafiori, no? One of the big names.
Sí. Riccardo Calafiori, bueno, el defensa del Bologna, claramente el Bologna quiere retenerlo, intentará todo lo posible, pero va a ser muy complicado, porque claramente lo que está demostrando, lo que está haciendo durante esta Euro es increíble y hay muchos intereses. Primero, claramente, hay la Juventus, pero, Fabrizio, te voy contando que en las últimas horas hubo un sondeo de un equipo inglés al que le gusta bastante Calafiori. Y este equipo es el Arsenal.
Okay, claro. So we can start translating and saying that for Riccardo Calafiori, there is obviously the strong interest of Juventus. We already said many times about Juventus interest. Juventus are working on the Calafiori story since February. So Juventus already have also a kind of green light from the player. But we said many times here that there is some problem between Juventus and Bologna because the manager of Bologna, Thiago Motta, signed for Juventus and the president of Bologna was not so happy with what happened with Thiago Motta. And now also Arsenal are showing their interest in Riccardo Calafiori. Matteo was saying here live with us. So Arsenal is one of many clubs showing interest in Riccardo Calafiori. Let me clarify that for Calafiori there are many clubs tracking the player, because, for example, the director of Liverpool, Richard Hughes, when he was at Bournemouth before joining Liverpool as new director, was tracking Riccardo Calafiori for Bournemouth. So Liverpool is one more club following the player. We know that, for example, Tottenham are always very attentive to the Italian market. Tottenham signed many players from the Italian market. So let's see if they will decide to enter this story. At the moment, still no. But also, let's see what happens, for example, at Chelsea, still looking for a talented player, left-footed for the defense, in case they find an opportunity. So there are many possibilities for Calafiori, also because the Euros are showing the top quality of this player. But Matteo was saying that Arsenal are also showing their interest. Again, at the moment, it's not a negotiation. At the moment, it's not a concrete talk, but it's an interest, no?
Sí, exactamente. Simplemente un sondeo, pero bueno, en las últimas horas el club que se ha movido de una manera un poco más concreta, preguntando de verdad las condiciones, preguntando un poco si se puede, o sea, si el jugador se lo puede plantear o no, o sea, preguntando un poco la situación, es el Arsenal. Se ha hablado mucho de otros equipos, Tottenham, varios, pero el club que en las últimas horas ha preguntado es el Arsenal.
Meanwhile, as Matteo told us about Arsenal and about this possibility, we know that in general Arsenal are looking to add one more player in the defensive positions. Again, let me clarify again before Arsenal fans will send many questions maybe the next days. Is a potential interest, is a player who is doing fantastic, but there are many clubs. Juventus remain there, and it's not a negotiation at the moment. It's just about interest. Then let me say also to Tipi, who is asking about that, thank you. What about the Argentinian centre-back for Chelsea? I can tell you that Chelsea is in Argentina, people from Chelsea is in Argentina to negotiate with Boca Juniors for Aaron Anselmino. So negotiations ongoing for the centre-back bond in 2005, release clause $25 million, but Chelsea are advancing in negotiations for Aaron Anselmino. Meanwhile, Matte, I see also many people asking about the situation of Fikayo Tomori and Malik Chao. Many rumors about Newcastle. We said that they are not talking for Fikayo Tomori, but a contact was made to discuss Malik Chao, ¿correcto?
Sí, exactamente. Durante el día de hoy, Milán y Newcastle han hablado han tenido un contacto, una charla para hablar de varias situaciones a nivel de mercado. Y bueno, el nombre que ha surgido con más fuerza es el nombre de Malik Chao. El defensa es uno de los que gustan al Newcastle. Claramente queda por ver si hay la manera de seguir en estas charlas. Y durante las conversaciones de hoy, los dos clubes han tocado también el tema de Trippier, porque claramente el Milan está buscando un lateral así. Y bueno, han tocado este tema, pero por una cuestión económica no va a ser fácil y de momento no avanza, pero sí es verdad que hoy Milán y Newcastle han hablado de la situación de Malik Chao.
So there was a contact today between Milan and Newcastle. They discussed about several possibilities, no? Because we know Newcastle in general are looking for some opportunity in terms of outgoings, also because of financial fair play. For example, Minta could leave the club with many clubs interested, like Everton, Olympique Lyon. And so they discussed about opportunities. Newcastle are showing concrete interest in Malik Chao, the German centre-back of Milan. Is one of the players they appreciate. But at the moment, it's also true that there is nothing advanced in terms of negotiations. One of the names they mentioned is also Kieran Trippier. Milan are going to sign a new right back in the market, so Milan will cover that position. With Newcastle, there was also discussion about Trippier, but at the moment, again, it's not something concrete, it's not something advanced, also because of the salary of Kieran Trippier is a big salary, and at the moment, we know Milan policy and Milan strategy is different, so let's see what's going to happen, but a talk took place between the two clubs. Asking if Bayern is in for Calafiori. At the moment, Bayern are really focused on the situation of Jonathan Tah. Bayern want to sign Jonathan Tah, and Jonathan Tah wants to go to Bayern. Clubs from Saudi Pro League called for Jonathan Tah, clubs from Premier League 2 but Jonathan Tah is waiting for Bayern. I see many Liverpool fans saying they are disappointed. My friends, as soon as I will have something for you, trust me, we will be here and we will give you news. I don't want to give you things that are not real. That's the point. I saw a question about Anselmino and personal terms with Chelsea. Personal terms are not the problem, so Anselmino already said yes to Chelsea. It's not a problem on player side. The real point is to reach an agreement with Boca. This is what they're trying to do. For Samu Morodion, Matte, many people asking about Samu Morodion's situation, because today there were new rumors also in Spain about the situation of Morodion, but we still don't know about any big change to the situation, ¿no? No hay ninguna situación nueva en el momento.
La única es que Samu se va a los Juegos Olímpicos de manera oficial, así que se va a perder buena parte de la pretemporada con el Atlético de Madrid, pero el tema no ha cambiado, o sea que lo que contamos la última vez sigue como, o sea, sigue igual. El Atlético confía en él, se lo ha transmitido a los representantes de Samu, se lo ha transmitido otra vez al jugador. No quieren de momento, o sea, me dicen que no quieren que salga, y Samu quiere triunfar en el Atlético de Madrid. Así que no hay cambios respecto a lo que ya dijimos.
So still no changes between Chelsea, Samu Morodion, Atletico Madrid. We know Chelsea at the beginning of last week made a proposal, 40 million euros, even more than this. But at the moment from Atletico Madrid, there is still no intention to open the door, and they want to continue with Samu Morodion next season. Let's see if maybe for a crazy proposal the story could change, but at the moment there is still no substantial update on this story. Let me see some of the questions we are receiving. On João Neves, still no concrete update. We know about Paris Saint-Germain strongly interested. Also, Godfrey news. This could be a good one, because today there were some reports, no? Godfrey from England, from Italy, mentioning different clubs. Everton, Olympique Lyon, Everton obviously selling the player, Olympique Lyon and Atalanta as clubs interested in back Godfrey. Could be a possibility for Atalanta, right, Matteo? ¿Correcto?
Sí. Es uno de los nombres que el club que acaba de ganar la Europa League tiene en su lista. Bueno, tienen 4 o 5 nombres, pero es verdad que Godfrey, que en enero estuvo en la lista también del Milan, porque el Milan negoció las últimas horas del mercado para intentar ficharle, es uno de los nombres del Atalanta. Vamos a ver, porque bueno, ya han presentado una propuesta, vamos a ver si la negociación avanza.
Yeah, so Atalanta already made a bid for Ben Godfrey, but at the moment there is still no agreement. So let's see if Atalanta will try again. But for sure, he's one of the players they appreciate for the centre-back position. I see Omar asking about Antonio Nusa in Tottenham. The club working on Antonio Nusa is Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace will sign a new winger to replace Olise, and Nusa is one of the names they have on the list. And in a separate list, they also have the name of Job Bellingham, the brother of Jude Bellingham. So that could be a possibility. I see many questions on 2 things. Matteo, I will ask one to you, then I will say about Victor Osimhen. You can also reply on Alessandro Buongiorno, because there are many Napoli fans still asking about the situation of Alessandro Buongiorno. He remains a strong target, a big target for Napoli. Remember, guys, that Napoli will sign Rafa Marin from Real Madrid, so the first centre-back will be Rafa Marin on permanent deal from Real Madrid, with buyback clause also included. In the next days, time for documents, medical test, and here we go, will arrive, but it's just a matter of time. And then Alessandro Buongiorno is the other big name, ¿no? Es otro objetivo del Napoli.
Sí. Bueno, lo que contamos desde hace semanas es que al final yo creo, Fabri, que el tema Buongiorno-Nápoles no se va a cerrar antes de la Eurocopa, o sea que tiene que acabar la Eurocopa y luego vamos a ver si y cómo se cierra, pero el Nápoles a día de hoy es el único club que puede permitirse fichar a Buongiorno por un tema económico, porque están dispuestos a llegar a los 40 millones. Hay muy buena predisposición entre el entorno de Buongiorno y el Nápoles. El tema no está cerrado. Sí, está cerca, pero quedan cosas, y yo creo que además en las próximas semanas a lo mejor hay otros clubes que podrían preguntar por él.
So the situation between Buongiorno and Napoli is the deal is closed. The deal is not done, but remains closed because Napoli are prepared to pay what Torino want for Alessandro Buongiorno. There is still a distance between Napoli and Torino, but the negotiation is ongoing, and also very good relationship with the agents of the player. But at the moment, still not a done deal. And deal is done. There are also other clubs who could enter the race. So Torino probably hope for some other club to enter and put a higher price on Alessandro Buongiorno, but Napoli are still there and working on this priority for Antonio Conte. Many questions on Bruno Guimaraes and Manchester City. Is still a name Manchester City appreciate, but remember that the release clause for Bruno Guimaraes has expired. So it's over for the release clause, and now any clubs interested in Bruno Guimaraes has to go there and negotiate with Newcastle for Bruno, so it's not going to be easy because they still hope to keep the player. On Victor Osimhen, I wanted to say something, guys, because I see many questions. And today, in the press conference, Antonio Conte said, I have a big veto on some players. Kvaratskhelia, Napoli have no intention to sell him. Today, Conte was very strong in his sentence, and also the president De Laurentiis. So Napoli have no intention to sell him. I think it's going to be very, very difficult, almost impossible now for PSG to change the story. Has to be something completely crazy. Also because Napoli, in the next hours, will offer a new contract to Kvaratskhelia. It's going to be a long-term deal with a release clause and with a higher salary, around 4 or 5 million euros net per season. So a really important salary for Kvaratskhelia. Napoli are preparing the new contract, and Napoli want Kvaratskhelia to stay. So I expect Kvaratskhelia to stay at Napoli. For Osimhen, it's different because Conte today said Kvaratskhelia, today said Di Lorenzo, today said Anguissa, today said Lobotka, but he didn't mention Victor Osimhen. And when Osimhen was part of the conversation, he said once again that Osimhen, because of old agreements between the player and the club, Osimhen and Napoli, the situation of Osimhen is different. What does it mean, guys? It means that there is already an agreement, a gentleman agreement between Victor Osimhen and Napoli since December. At the end of December, he extended the contract at the club to give also Napoli the possibility to get better money. But there is a release clause into his contract, around 120 million euros, and there is also a pact between Osimhen and Napoli to find a solution for this summer. So keep an eye on Victor Osimhen for the next weeks, because now the situation is still quiet. We know Chelsea consider him too expensive, so are still not going for Osimhen. But for all the other clubs looking for a striker, in Spain, 0. But also in Germany, 0, because Bayern have the striker. In France, there could be PSG, but at the moment, PSG are still not working on a striker, working on wingers in this moment of the market. Keep an eye also in England, because Osimhen could be a big possibility. If Napoli changes the price of Victor Osimhen, there could be a possibility for other clubs to enter. For example, Man United are looking for a striker. We know about Zirkzee in this battle with Milan. But also Arsenal are looking for a striker. Will they go for a striker? Will they go for a winger? What they decide to do in terms of plan? Keep an eye on many clubs for Victor Osimhen, because at the moment the situation is really open, and the pact between Napoli and the player is for him to leave the club in the summer transfer window. So we still see Victor Osimhen leaving Napoli, and Napoli using that money to sign other players like Buongiorno and like all the others. Napoli don't need that because Napoli have a fantastic financial situation. So they are a very healthy club, but obviously with the money of Victor Osimhen, for Napoli would be easier to go on other players. So this is why Antonio Conte didn't mention him. Matteo, te preguntan si tienes noticias sobre Ederson del Atalanta. Te preguntan hinchas del Liverpool.
Sabes que, bueno, Ederson es uno de los centrocampistas que más intereses tienes en Europa, yo creo, porque hay muchísimos clubes que preguntan por él. Bueno, el Atlético de Madrid preguntó, el Liverpool preguntó, hay muchos sondeos, es verdad, pero el Atalanta me transmite que quiere quedarse con él. O sea que para ellos es un jugador imprescindible y no quieren venderle. O sea, básicamente no quieren.
Yeah, and Matteo is saying that it's going to be difficult to sign Ederson because there is a lot of interest around Europe, from England, from Spain, also from Italy. But at the moment, Atalanta want to keep the player. And what we always said about Ederson is that the plan for Ederson and for Atalanta remains very clear. Atalanta will not sell two top players in the same position. So Koop Miners and Ederson, Atalanta don't want to sell both players. So maximum could be one. So let's see what's going to happen there. But at the moment, for Ederson is still a quiet situation. There is interest in terms of interest. The interest of Liverpool is true. So when we had rumors about Liverpool, it's true that Liverpool appreciate the player. It's true that people from Liverpool were scouting Ederson during the fantastic season he had with Atalanta. But at the moment, Atalanta have not received any proposal from Liverpool. Many people asking about Khéphren Thuram and Moise Kean also for Juventus. On Khéphren Thuram, we can say that he remains the next priority target for Juventus after Douglas Luiz, who is joining the club from Aston Villa. Is a done deal. Khéphren Thuram negotiations ongoing between Juventus and Nice, but still not at the final stages. So be patient. On Moise Kean, Matteo, ¿nos puedes contar algo? Porque es un jugador que tenía que jugar en la liga, ¿no? En los pasados 6 meses al Atleti y luego ahora está cerca de convertirse en el nuevo delantero de la Fiorentina.
Sí, porque en enero estuvo muy, muy cerca del Atlético de Madrid, porque no sé si te acuerdas, Fabri, pero se fue a ver un partido en directo del Atlético. El día siguiente, pasando reconocimiento médico, ahí pasó algo, o sea que no pasó reconocimiento, pero hubo un problema de forma física, de molestias y de lesiones, y el fichaje se cayó, y ahora mismo Moise Kean está a punto de fichar por la Fiorentina, por una cifra que se acerca mucho a los 12 millones, más unos bonus, pero bueno, el jugador ya tiene el acuerdo total con la Fiorentina y va a dejar la Juventus. Yo creo que va a ser un fichaje que se puede cerrar en las próximas horas.
Okay, so Moise Kean really close to joining Fiorentina, around 12 million euros. Juventus want 15, so the negotiation continue on the final steps, but the player already said yes to to Fiorentina from Juventus, and so as we said yesterday, Moise Kean is going to be new Fiorentina striker if all goes to plan. Everything is ready for the new signing for Fiorentina. On Calafiori, we already said. I see someone asking about Erik ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy. When? Here we go. It's already all good between ten Hag and Manchester United for the new contract. I don't know what they will communicate, but everything is okay. It's about the final details and then to sign the contract, and also with Ruud van Nistelrooy signing. So let's see if someone can understand who is the player in the chat. I see someone saying Ramos. It's not Ramos.
Fabri,
but...
¿puedo dar una pista? Yeah. ¿Puedo dar una pista?
Vale.
Un detalle. Ha ganado un mundial.
He won the World Cup, it's true. And also he won the Champions League. So
no una.
Yeah. So I think there are. Let's see if someone can guess in the chat. But we will give you something. Let's see if we will have the. I think in the chat they are very good. But we will give you in some minutes something on that, because it's a dream at the moment. It's not a done deal, but some contact took place, and they are trying to make dreams reality. So let's see if this could happen. Then. Many questions on Jonathan David, guys, but at the moment for Jonathan David, still nothing imminent. So I think Jonathan David has the possibility to leave Lille in the summer transfer window, but at the moment I can guarantee that nothing is close yet. The player is not Mats Hummels. Mats Hummels remains on the market, remains an interesting possibility, Mats Hummels. So let's see where he decides to go, but at the moment he's still not decided where to go. But I see someone saying Hummels to Mallorca. Is not Hummels to Mallorca, but it's similar, the concept of the deal, ¿no?
Pero Fabri, ¿este fichaje habla español como yo o no, para ti? Podría hablarlo.
I think he speaks Spanish. He speaks Spanish. I think he speaks also some English for sure, because he also played in England. So I think there are some potential opportunities. Then let's see. In some minutes we will say something. Then, when is Maresca interview? My friend, we don't know about that. I will let you know as soon as we will have some update on the first interview of Enzo Maresca. Lenormand, many questions. Lenormand is still close to Atletico Madrid, but still not a done deal, correct?
Sí, faltan cosas entre clubes. Bueno, el Atlético de Madrid quiere cerrarlo, porque quiere cerrarlo ya, pero siguen negociando los dos clubes. Están cerca. La sensación que tengo no es es una información mezclada a sensación, es que al final se vaya a cerrar, pero aún quedan cositas.
Yes, I see many Manchester City fans desperate for the situation, like when Manchester City are going to move on the market. Remember that Savinho is joining Manchester City. This is not a detail. Savinho is joining Man City. He was already in the City group, but he's going to be a Manchester City player for the preseason. This is an important one. Then, will Erik ten Hag have his veto removed in his new contract? But I don't think it's about the veto. Erik ten Hag will always be involved in the conversation for new signings. So it's going to be always a good conversation between ten Hag and the board. Obviously, waiting to understand how much influential he will be, but he will always have a say about that. While we wait some seconds to share the update we wanted to give you, while I see a question about Michael Kayode to Aston Villa from Fiorentina. At the moment, I'm not aware of anything advanced between Kayode and Aston Villa. While I think we can say the news, no? Because it's a nice news again, guys. But some of you already were able to guess about this one. And it's about Rafa Varane. Is about Rafa Varane, because together with Matteo today we were working on this story, and we can give you an exclusive update. Then I will let Matteo also speak in Spanish for our Spanish listeners, that Como in Serie A with Cesc Fabregas are trying to make something special with the dream target, Rafa Varane. Trying to sign Varane as a free agent. Again, it's not a done deal. It's not easy because many clubs want Varane, but Como started some conversation to make it happen. So keep an eye on this one. Matteo.
Sí, bueno, la noticia es muy buena, exclusiva top, porque al final el jugador es un jugador súper, o sea, que ha ganado 4 Champions en el Real Madrid, acaba de ganar un título con el Manchester United, otra vez, claramente, Cesc Fábregas en esta negociación, en estas charlas, está teniendo un rol muy importante. Y vamos a ver cómo acaba, pero el Como está intentando el fichaje de Rafa Varane.
A ver qué pasa. As we said, Varane is a dream target for Como. And let's see what happens also, guys, with all the other stuff we mentioned tonight. We said many things, from Calafiori to Murillo, Victor Osimhen, Alexander Isak, Todibo, Dani Olmo, Jakob Ramsey, and many other things. Keep following us here on Playback. Thank you to all the guys who sent questions here on the chat. There were many of you. Guys, stay together in the next days because we will update you on all the latest. It's going to be a busy end of the week. Gracias, Matte. Thank you. And see you soon, guys. Ciao.